The 2024 US presidential election is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched and hotly contested in recent memory. At the center of this political storm are two familiar faces: President Joe Biden, seeking a second term, and former President Donald Trump, aiming for a return to power. As the campaign heats up, one issue that has garnered significant attention is Biden's health and verbal gaffes. Critics and opponents have seized on these moments to question his mental acuity and fitness for office. Let's take a closer look at some of these gaffes and their potential impact on the election. During a White House event on June 18th, President Biden appeared to momentarily freeze and forget the name of his Homeland Security Secretary. The president was speaking from the podium in the East Room to introduce new initiatives aimed at providing a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants residing in the United States.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure what I do.
In another event, Biden appeared to freeze while getting in his car. He can be seen pausing while entering his car. As the highly anticipated G7 summit commenced in Italy's southern Puglia region, US President Joe Biden found himself in another embarrassing position. The 81-year-old US president was first seen awkwardly saluting Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and was later seen wandering off while other world leaders were engrossed in a parachute display. Biden has also faced scrutiny for moments where he has appeared to stumble or freeze on stage, including recently at a fundraiser event with former US President Barack Obama. While these incidents may seem minor, they have raised questions about his physical health and whether he has the stamina required for the demanding role of president. In another peculiar incident, reporters were suddenly escorted out of the Oval Office after a short greeting. Biden unexpectedly ridiculed the reporters with an unusual outburst. And in one instance, while talking about the Ukraine war, Biden fumbled while speaking out a number.
To impact and to implement democratic.
Here's what Biden did when asked if re-elected, he would transfer power to Kamala Harris.
I can't hear you. Could you approach?
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
In a gun safety event, Biden gives a statement from which he has been heavily criticized by his political opponents. B-15S, not rifles needed to overthrow U.S. government, Biden can be heard saying in the clip.
Well, guess what? They need F-15s. They don't need a rifle.
Memory lapses have also been a point of concern for Biden. In one instance, he forgot the year his son Beau passed away, leading to questions about his cognitive abilities and whether he has the mental sharpness required for the presidency. Biden has also been criticized for mixing up current world leaders with their predecessors. For example, he confused French President Emmanuel Macron with former French President François Mitterrand, who passed away in 1996. These errors have raised doubts about his understanding of international affairs. One recurring criticism of Biden is his tendency to mix up countries in his speeches. For example, he once appeared to confuse Egypt with Mexico while discussing the Israel-Hamas conflict. These errors have raised doubts about his grasp of foreign policy.
Initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
Even seemingly minor incidents, like Biden stumbling while boarding Air Force One, have been magnified in the context of his age. Critics argue that these moments raise questions about his physical fitness for office and whether he has the agility required for the presidency. Biden's confusion over key issues has also been a cause for concern. In one instance, He appeared to confuse the Iraq War with the conflict in Ukraine, leading to questions about his understanding of global events and his ability to navigate international crises.
Do you think that Americans are not holding that view anymore? That
No, I
there's a
don't. I
slippage?
think the Americans hold the view. I think there's a new rise and a sense of some within the country wanting to let that slip. The idea that we become semi-isolationists now, which some are talking about. I mean, the idea we had to wait all those months just to get the money for Iraq because we were waiting. I mean, it's not who we are. It's not who America is.
Despite these gaffes, Biden remains steadfast in his bid for re-election. He points to his administration's accomplishments, such as the successful management of the COVID-19 pandemic and the revitalization of the economy, as evidence of his competence and leadership. Trump has repeatedly suggested that Biden should take a cognitive test, raising doubts about his ability to lead the country. However, during a recent speech, Trump himself stumbled over the name of Texas Republican Ronnie Jackson, the White House physician for part of his presidency, referring to him as Ronnie Johnson. In a news conference, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said that the clips purporting to show Biden's decline had been deceptively edited or misrepresented.
There seems to be a sort of rash of videos that have been edited to make the president appear especially frail or mentally confused. I'm wondering if the White House is especially worried about the fact that this appears to be a pattern that we're seeing more often.
What I'm saying is, this is a president, right? Let's step back for a second. Instead of, and I said this moments ago, instead of Republicans, focusing on the president's performance in office and what he's been able to accomplish, his actual record, they do these cheap fakes. They're cheap fakes. And you're asking me about the Maloney, you're asking me what happened. That video.
As the election approaches, the impact of Biden's gaffes on the race remains uncertain. While they have provided ammunition for his opponents and raised concerns among some voters, they have not decisively swayed public opinion. Ultimately, voters will have to weigh Biden's gaffes against his record and policies in deciding whether he is fit for another term in office. As the nation heads to the polls, the question remains: are Biden's verbal slip-ups a minor distraction or a serious concern about his ability to lead the country?